The episode opens with a devastating, heavy-hearted atmosphere. Ilham sits tightly by her mother Miriam's bedside at home, expressing a sudden, deep urge to sleep next to her. Tragically, in the next quiet moments, Miriam stops breathing. Ilham frantically tries to wake her, calling out, "Mama, Mama," but realizes with absolute horror that her mother has passed away. At the hospital, the senior doctor consoles a shattered Ilham, reminding her that as a medical professional, she knows they did everything humanly possible for Miriam. However, Miriam's vitals had failed entirely. Along with her critical heart condition, her other organs had shut down. The doctor advises Ilham to inform her family members so everyone can prepare for the final rites. Overwhelmed by agonizing grief, Ilham weeps, wishing desperately that her own blood group had matched so she could have given her mother her own heart. She breaks down completely, confessing that she has no other family. Her mother was her entire world. Meanwhile, a massive disconnect unfolds elsewhere in the hospital. Seyhan steps into a patient room, aggressively demanding to know where the emergency doctor, Ilham, is, complaining about a lack of professionalism because his patient needs an injection. The hospital staff timidly informs him that Ilham's shift ended and she went home after a very late night. Furious and completely unaware of the tragedy, Seyhan demands her home address from the staff, refusing to let any other doctor handle his patient. Concurrently, other hospital staff discuss the absolute chaos Seyhan caused the night before in the emergency ward, whispering about how wealthy, powerful people treat regular human beings like the dirt beneath their shoes. Back at the hospital morgue, a staff member informs Ilham that the body is ready and asks her to sign the paperwork and call her family to pick up the deceased. Standing entirely alone, a weeping Ilham whispers, "I don't have anyone. It's just me and Mama." A sympathetic staff member urges her to call neighbors or distant relatives, as a young girl cannot manage a funeral entirely by herself. Just then, Seyhan arrives at Ilham's neighborhood using the address he demanded, tracking her down to get her back to the hospital. Instead, he walks right into a house of mourning. He watches from the doorway, completely stunned, as the neighborhood women surround a weeping Ilham and help transport Miriam's body. Seyhan feels a sudden, profound wave of grief. He approaches a crying Ilham and expresses his deep condolences, softly sharing that he lost his own mother when he was just 6 years old and genuinely understands her pain. Stepping up in the absence of any male relatives, Seyhan tells the neighbors that he will take charge and personally arrange the burial and final logistics. Meanwhile, at the GYT Group headquarters, corporate tension peaks. Ghazi Yusuf's business partners confront him, furious that he has suddenly placed their massive construction project on hold without consulting them, leaving millions of their investment dollars trapped. Arrogant and unyielding, Ghazi Yusuf coldly tells them that when he builds, the city notices, and if they are scared, they can take their money and leave. When the partners hint that the land's female owner was tough and that Seyhan's sudden interference ruined the deal, Ghazi Yusuf snaps. He warns them that they are crossing a line, asserting that he only paused the work because his son showed interest in a property for the first time. He orders his CFO, Zakaria, to return their investments and dismisses them permanently, declaring that he never offers explanations to anyone. Outside, Seyhan calls Zakaria, instructing him to urgently arrange a grave plot and bring 4 or 5 guys to help out. He explicitly commands Zakaria not to utter a single word about this to his father, Ghazi Yusuf. Back at the house, Ilham stands over her mother's body one last time, weeping and apologizing for not being able to save her. As the funeral procession takes place, Seyhan stands by the grave, deeply shaken. His bodyguard notes that Seyhan looks as if he has lost someone intensely close to him. Seyhan admits that he feels an unexplainable, heavy burden in his chest, experiencing this profound grief for only the second time in his life, the first being his own mother's passing. He acknowledges that while he doesn't officially know the young doctor, a powerful bond of humanity and shared loneliness drew him to help her. Later that evening, Seyhan returns to the hospital room of his father's wife companion, Chanda. Chanda gently scolds him for disappearing all day and missing his calls after causing a scene the previous night. Exhausted, Seyhan reveals that he went to track down Dr. Ilham, only to find that her mother had just passed away. He admits that seeing Ilham weep for her mother brought back raw memories of losing his own mom. Chanda comforts him, praising his kindness for staying to handle the funeral for a girl who had absolutely no one else. Seyhan then checks on Chanda's injured foot and she begs him to keep his explosive temper under control while at the hospital. Seyhan admits he only snaps when people do wrong and leaves her to rest, noting that he has completely lost his appetite. Seyhan drives back to Ilham's dark, empty house to check on her, bringing food. Inside, Ilham is sitting in the dark, completely hollowed out by grief. Suddenly, her phone rings. It is her estranged sister, Ilahi. Ilham answers with cold, bitter anger, telling Ilahi that the mother who spent her entire life waiting for her calls is officially gone. Ilham tells her sister to shut up and listen carefully. Their relationship is permanently over, and she must never call again. She hangs up, weeping that some people are simply destined to be completely alone in this world. Seyhan tries to comfort her, but Ilham is inconsolable. She explains that Ilahi always resented their mother for keeping Ilham instead of her, and always assumed their mother was just acting sick. Ilham laments that her mother loved Ilahi until her very last breath, but she refuses to waste any more energy on a sister with a heart of stone. Seyhan brings her water and gently tries to calm her down. As Seyhan sits with her, he notices a framed photograph of Mariam on the table. He freezes in absolute, paralyzing shock. The puzzle pieces instantly slam together. He realizes that Mariam, the resilient woman his father's thugs had terrorized, the very woman whose restaurant he had vowed to save and restore, the woman he had lovingly baked a birthday cake with just hours before, was Ilham's mother. Seyhan stumbles backward, completely breathless, realization washing over him. Ilham, noticing his intense reaction, asks if he is okay. With tears in his eyes, Seyhan looks at the photo and whispers, "Mariam, Mama." He confesses to a confused Ilham that Mariam wasn't just a restaurant owner to him, she was a true friend who felt like a mother. He realizes with overwhelming guilt and horror that he was helping bury his dear friend without even realizing it. He tells Ilham how beautifully Mariam spoke of her, and how happily they were baking a birthday cake together right before everything went wrong. As the night grows late, Ilham quietly thanks Seyhan for everything, but asks him to go home. Seyhan hesitates, asking how she can stay in the massive, empty house alone. Ilham admits that while she tries to be brave, she is terrified of the dark, but has no choice but to face this suffocating loneliness. Seyhan promises he is only a single phone call away if she needs absolutely anything, and reluctantly steps outside, telling her to lock the door securely. In the final sequence of the episode, Seyhan returns to Chanda's hospital room late at night. Chanda is surprised to see him back, assuming he had gone home to rest. Seyhan sits by her bedside, looking completely broken and hollowed out. When Chanda asks what is wrong, Seyhan looks at her with tears streaming down his face and reveals the ultimate, tragic irony. "Do you know whose daughter Ilham is? She is Mariam's daughter." Chanda gasps in absolute shock. Seyhan breaks down, explaining that the restaurant his father ordered destroyed belonged to Mariam. He cries over the fact that he had promised Mariam he would make amends and repair everything by the next day, completely unaware that she would leave this world so suddenly. The episode ends on a hauntingly emotional note. Seyhan sits in his car outside Ilham's house in the dead of night, unable to leave her alone in the dark. He looks up at her window, completely torn by grief, guilt, and a powerful protective instinct, knowing that the fragile young doctor is entirely alone inside.